Okay, you are going to need some note-taking materials for today. Handy dandy water, physical, virtual note-taking materials. We're going to start with some deep breaths. Inhale and exhale on your own, 3 deep cleansing breaths. And the purpose of this is to calm the amygdala down so that you can access your prefrontal cortex, which is where your learning starts to take place to process the information in. With that being said, on your own, go ahead and inhale and exhale 3 deep cleansing breaths. Good morning. I am Dr. Donna Thomas-Rodgers. I am the daughter of Leslie Darnell Thomas, granddaughter of Arthur Jethro Evelyn II, and great-granddaughter of Levi Thomas. Welcome to your morning mental workout. Today we are discussing a topic that I discovered yesterday. I have mentioned this several times that I am feeling other things that don't belong to me. And because we had a Danza yesterday, an unscheduled Danza, which is great, which is a day of no scheduled assembly, I had time to reflect and search this particular question. So if you see behind me, it says the brain activity of external anxiety. And so here is the question. First of all, did you drink your water? If not, go ahead and start drinking some water. I'm a little thirsty. I drank water, but then preparing for the live, I need to drink more water. And so this hydration is for the brain. Now, I've mentioned this before. When I first started studying the brain last October, I was using Very Well Mind, John Hopkins, and some other the Mayo Clinic and all of that to get the initial information for the brain. And then I exhausted all of those platforms. And so now I am using ChatGPT, and I'm also using Grok, both free versions right now. I will be probably this month paying for Chat because I just need more information than the free option is providing for me. I think you get 5 or 6 searches within 24 hours, and you have to wait. And then on Grok, you get 10 searches every 2 hours. So it's not necessary for me to be paid premium on Grok. But I want to read to you the question that I asked. So for those of you now, I'm not, good morning, Lola. Okay. So are you just listening but not able to text? I think that's what you're saying. And great to the water. So here is the question that I used. And I'm saying this because people have mixed reviews about AI and everything else. And so just like money is neither good or bad. People, okay, Roger that. People use money for good and evil. So money in and of itself is not bad. So AI in and of itself is not bad. It's the unaccountable people using it to cheat that make AI have a bad name. So here is the question that I asked, and I want to give this example so you can understand that Google has its purposes, but it can't give you the detailed answer that you need. So here are the exact words. Good morning, Regina. Here are the exact words that I searched in Grok, which is inside of X, formerly known as Twitter. I said, how do you rid the brain of other people's anxiety thoughts that were passed on to you, but you actually don't believe or worry about what they want you to worry about or have anxiety about? I'm going to say that again. How do you rid the brain of other people's anxiety thoughts that were passed on to you, but you actually don't believe or worry about what they want you to worry about or have anxiety about? That's the whole question that I actually asked Grok. And the answer that Grok revealed to me is that what this process is known as is it says it's known as external anxiety. That's what it's called. So if you start feeling somebody else's feelings and they're attempting to make you feel their feelings and their emotions and everything else, that's called external anxiety. Didn't know it. So got this long ass question and got the response that I needed that I've been looking for. That's why I'm saying if you're not using AI, Grok, or ChatGPT to find out information, you need to start using it because that was a long ass question. And I guarantee you, if I had asked Google that, I would have got a bunch of articles and some other stuff. But it would not have been able as quickly as Grok was able to answer and give me this very much provided detailed response as y'all can see on my tablet. I emailed the link to myself. So here is the definition of external anxiety. And that's what we're going to be talking about today because everybody has it, because there are 6.8 billion unaccountable people in the world. So the definition of external anxiety is this: it refers to feelings of worries or stress that originate from outside of an individual's own thoughts or beliefs, typically imposed or projected by other people, social influences, or environmental factors. So it's some shit that you're not even thinking about. You're not even concerned with it. It's coming from the outside in. Now, these anxieties are not inherently aligned with one's personal choices or concerns or experiences. But this is the important part: they are absorbed through interactions, media, or societal pressures. And here are some examples in case you are wondering what they are. And I might put my glasses on for this because of the glare from my tablet. Okay. So, parental fears. A parent constantly warns you about job security, projecting their fear of unemployment onto you, even though you feel confident in your career path. Next, social media influence. Seeing posts on social media about societal collapse or economic doom, causing you to question stability despite your personal situation being secure. Number three, friends' health anxiety. A friend obsesses over rare diseases and urges you to worry about every minor symptom, though you feel healthy and unconcerned. For people who have jobs, co-workers' pessimism. A colleague frequently complains about workplace politics or impending layoffs, planting doubts in your mind despite no evidence affecting your role. The next one is your partner's overprotectiveness. A spouse or partner frets excessively about your safety during routine activities, driving or traveling, making you second guess normal behaviors. And then cultural or group pressure. A community or social group emphasizes fears about specific issues, crime rate, political changes, economic crises. So pushing you to adopt the anxieties that don't resonate with your own experience. So that pretty much sums it up. Because I'm sitting here having conversations with Nola, and I'm like, everything that they said, none of that matters to me. Everything my family, other people said, because I'm like, it didn't stop me. It didn't stop me. So where is this coming from? And it's coming from them. And so I didn't listen. It didn't stop me from doing anything. But that pressure, that external anxiety is sitting there everywhere I've gone, everywhere I've been, every organization I've been a part of. And it's almost like being in a gang getting jumped in, and you got to believe what they believe, or else you're not part of the crew. That's how you got to worry about what we worry about. You got to be concerned. We got to, even if it's not concerning you, Dr. you need to be concerned with prostate cancer. But I don't have a prostate. Doesn't matter. It's a thing. It's a thing. Okay. You need to be concerned with birth control. Yeah, but I'm perimenopausal. My eggs been dried up. But that's an issue. That's an issue that you need to. No, I actually don't. I actually don't need to be personally concerned with that. The group that impacts needs to be concerned with that, but not me. People under 40 don't have to worry about wearing readers unless they just naturally wear glasses. So they're not concerned with the reader section in the Dollar Tree or the optometrist. It's not their thing. But every day you experience all of these external anxious inputs that you need to care about. And I'm here today to tell you, no, the fuck you don't. No, you don't. Because what I told Noah yesterday is I said, I keep putting out good things, personal accountability, real leadership. I've always been this way. And my exchange, so I'm giving you real leadership and calmness and peace and solutions and strategies. And in return, I'm getting more external anxieties. And it's ruminating. It's things in the left amygdala that you can't do shit about, especially when it's not real and it's manufactured. And it's all these false positives and false narratives just happening all day long. So now you have a name for it. And so these anxieties can feel intrusive. I like that word. They're intrusive, but can be managed by recognizing their external origin and using techniques to detach and focus. So that's what today's live is all about. How do we use our amazing brain? What regions of the brain, what hemispheres of the brain are impacted by this, and what we gonna do about it as real leaders and people using neuromobility? And we know how to use our brain over here. Please use it so that this can stop happening to you and the people around you who actually want to be personally accountable. So what regions of the brains and hemisphere are involved in the external anxiety? So again, external anxiety means anxiety triggered by outside events, people, or environments, as opposed to internal worries and rumination. So shit you're doing yourself, it's the opposite of that. And so it involves specific brain regions across both hemispheres, though some regions tend to be more dominant on one side, depending on the type of anxiety or response. So we have 5 brain regions that are involved in internal anxiety. And number 1 on the list, oh, I forgot, I can just do this. Number 1 on the list, winner, chicken dinner, that doggone amygdala. The doggone amygdala is number 1 on the list. And in the amygdala, it affects both hemispheres, bilateral. So the function is to detect threats, process fear, and triggers the fight or flight response. Now, what is happening is the right amygdala has a faster automatic response to unfamiliar external threats involved in perceiving fear in faces or situations. So that's that automatic. There's some fear. We talked about that a couple days ago. And then the left amygdala is more involved in analyzing the details of the external threats. And it contributes to sustained anxious responses. So what happens is you see something on social media, you see a post, and it's talking about the economy in America is bad as hell. So it's like, oh my God, we gotta go, we gotta hurry up, we gotta save money, we gotta save water, we gotta do all this stuff. And then the left amygdala says, hold up, right amygdala, I got you, boo boo. We gonna worry about this shit for the next month. I'm gonna make sure that every day you wake up, you are concerned about this. Now, where you actually live, it's not happening. The thing that you saw was not happening. And I've said this on lives before. For all the shit you see on the news and on social media, look out your window. Everybody look out your window right now if you got a window, because you might be at work, you might not have one. You have access to a window. Just look outside. What's happening? So I live on the corner. I got some cars and guest parking. I see my neighbors, and then I see the golf course and mountains. That's what I see outside my window. And the sun is coming up over the mountains. It's a great, amazing sunrise right now. That's what's happening for me. And if I look forward, I see my bed and some windows. That's what's actually taking place. But let me get on social media. Let me turn the news on. Let me go have a conversation with somebody. And oh my God, it is third war. Oh my goodness, but this shit about to go to hell in a handbasket. And so the amygdala is like, okay. And I'm like, but right now, I mean, y'all can't even hear birds right now. It's quiet as church mice over here. But this external anxiety is upon us, in theory. Okay, so number 2 is the prefrontal cortex, because you know they have to work together. And it's bilateral with both hemispheres, but differences in the hemispheres. So the function of the prefrontal cortex is regulation of emotional responses, and I'll make that a highlight. Yes. Of emotional responses, rational thinking, and assessing a threat level. So, is it actually doom and gloom outside my window? No, not even in our subdivision, not even in my neighborhood. I don't hear nothing happening right now. And then, so it's linked to approach behaviors with logical analysis, and it can help dampen anxiety if it's active. So if you find yourself having all these external anxiety things, just go to the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is going to calm you all the way down. That's not what's happening right now. It's not. And then the right prefrontal cortex is more involved in withdrawal responses, overactivity, and is linked to heightened anxiety from external cues. So because the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex communicate with each other, the right and the right, so that fight and flight response that you see is impacting the right amygdala. Okay, give me 1 second. All right. Number 3, the insular cortex, insula, both hemispheres. So the function is to process internal body states, such as your heart rate, your gut feeling, and it integrates these with external sensory inputs to gauge the danger. So it's going inside and outside to see if this is actually really danger. And so the right insula, which is more connected to heightened body awareness during anxious reactions to external stimuli. So the right insula is checking to see, wait a minute, is my heart going? Is this really a threat? Is this really a threat? And then the hippocampus is bilateral in this instance. And so it functions as it's the contextual memory. So it helps evaluate whether an external situation is truly threatening based on past experiences. So it's the economy is going bad. The economy is going bad. So for me, we go back to the housing crisis of 2009. We go back to the internet bubble of 2001. And if you really want to go way, way, way the hell back, we can go back to Reaganomics. And then we can go back to the 70s when the fucking gas prices and everything else. Look at recessions and everything. So that's what happens. The hippocampus goes back to when that thing took place and then assess to see if this is actually what's taking place currently. And the impairment or the heightened activation in the hippocampus, it can distort the perception of safe versus dangerous external environments, leading to exaggerated anxiety. So for example, if you had a problem, if you lost your house in 2009, you got your shit back together, and now you have a new house, and now you hear about all of this. For us in Las Vegas, corporations are buying up subdivisions and then renting them out. And now it's like, oh my goodness, am I in the right neighborhood? Are we going to be upside down on our house again and everything else? When you just have to assess what's actually taking place. But if you hear on the news that you have all of these corporations coming in and buying houses, right now they bought 3,000 houses. If you know anything about Las Vegas, we have almost 3 million people in the state of Nevada. We have almost 3 million people. 2.5 million of those people live in Clark County. 3,000 is not a lot, but let the news tell it. I mean, that's a couple subdivisions, but the news will tell you that they're taking over. And it's the elected officials' fault for letting this happen. Even though they planned this, all the land is already planned out for warehousing, subdivisions, all things already planned out for a long time. Been that way for a minute, and now the construction is now catching up to the plans. But the news is telling you that these corporations are coming in and buying up all the houses, so you're not going to be able to buy a house. So you better act fast before the corporations buy up all the houses. Okay, number 5 is the ACC bilateral. And so the ACC, and it is bilateral. And so the function is that it monitors for conflict, it detects errors, and it regulates attention to external threats. And so it has hyperactivity, and it can increase vigilance and over focus for negative external cues. So what can happen is you go, oh my God, the corporations is buying up all the houses in Las Vegas, Nevada, at Las Vegas, Henderson, North Las Vegas, Green Valley area. What are we going to do? Oh, we got to hurry and buy a house. We got to hurry and buy a house. We got to hurry. Yes, go. Hit it. And then you find out that you have paid too much for the house. You have a variable interest rate instead of a fixed mortgage interest rate. And you have all these things that you didn't understand about. We actually have a client who purchased a house on the corner, got it built, and now there is an apartment complex being built right across the street and a DMV being built right down the street. And these were pieces of information that the KB Homes did not disclose when they were telling her this is a great corner lot and all these things. And so now what she thought was going to be a very quiet neighborhood is now about to be a very noisy neighborhood with an apartment complex right across the street. As soon as you look out your side window, here is an apartment complex. And then as you go to the grocery store, you got to pass the DMV. So that was not good on their part. And she is not a happy camper. So I'll venture to say that she will not be there long. So hyperactivity. Oh my God, this is got to hurry up, get this area, get it now. We only have 3 houses, 3 lots left. And now you are in a 30-year mortgage, stuck in a very awful situation. So now, the hemisphere patterns in summary for external activity. So here are the hemisphere patterns. On the right hemisphere, there's this rapid threat detection, emotional reactivity, withdrawal tendencies, and heavily engaged in external activities. So these external anxieties come to you and you become attached to these things and you don't even check to see if they actually impact you. And then the left hemisphere is more analytical with the processing, the external threats, and then when underactive, anxiety regulation is weaker. So what happens is, as we talked several days ago, when you have a weak prefrontal cortex, your ability to analyze what's taking place decreases immensely, and the amygdala takes over, and now you are over analyzing, you are ruminating, and you are not looking for a solution. You're just doom looping. Oh my God, the economy, the housing market, the everything, it's going bad, it's going bad, it's going bad. And you never say, is this happening to me? Is this actually happening to me? Is this actually true for me? So in summary, external anxieties relies on a networks of regions across both hemispheres, but that right hemisphere, especially in areas like the right amygdala, the right prefrontal cortex, and the right insula, play a dominant role in hypervigilance, rapid detection, and environmental threats and emotional overreactivity. So emotional. Okay, give me a second. Emotional overreactivity is the opposite of emotional regulation. So that's why you have to do your deep breathing. That's why you have to stay in your prefrontal cortex. That's why you have to learn something new every single day and have your working memory working, because when your working memory is working and you understand that this is an external anxiety, you stop and you say, hold up, let me verify all of these things that are being said. And none of this is true, or none of this is true for me. Only parts of this is true for me. And so you decrease that emotional overreactivity through emotional regulation. All right. So here are 4 brain-based activities grounded in neuroscience to help you manage external anxiety, targeting those specific brain regions that are involved. So number 1 is the prefrontal cortex. So it's regulation of rational thinking. And the goal is this: to strengthen the executive function to override emotional reactivity. You got to strengthen it, okay? And the executive function, you have working memory, cognitive flexibility, and inhibition control. And so you want to strengthen the executive function of your brain located in the prefrontal cortex so that this external anxiety that comes in, you go, oh no, that's not applying to me. Let me go back to doing what I was doing. So cognitive reframing practice. You are going to pause and consciously reinterpret external triggers. So for example, the crowd is dangerous. The world is a dangerous place. Don't go outside. Don't go on that side of town. Oh my goodness. You're gonna, if you walk into a store and go, oh my God, so dangerous in here. Look how many people are here. You're gonna say, nope, this is a busy place and I can manage this. There's rush hour traffic and I just need to be in my defensive driving mode so I can get to my destination and arrive there safely and arrive back home safely. So you're going to reframe whatever that anxiety is to make it so that it's not anxious for you. So you are going to use the executive function of your brain and tell yourself, this is what's actually taking place for me. And now I'm not having that same experience as everybody else. And so what this does is you can also do problem solving drills. So you break external situations into small, manageable steps. And so it helps the PFC stay engaged during stressful moments. So in the event that Nola and I are putting something together and it is going to hell in a handbasket, we just focus on the next step. What's the next step? What's the next part? When I have a bunch of people on lives that are acting out or deciding that they want a dopamine boost, I simply just go person by person and remove them from the live and continue on with what I'm doing. I am not going to allow their disinhibition effect to affect the information that I'm presenting to you unless I'm using them as an example as it might pertain to what it is that I'm discussing. So number 2 is amygdala, and it is the emotional reactivity control. So the goal of this is to reduce overreactivation of the amygdala to external threats. You want your amygdala to warn you of actual threats that impact you. So the amygdala is there to say, oh, here's a couple of emotions, and here's a threat. Here's a threat. And what has happened is there is this overuse of the amygdala. It is just overextended, overwhelmed because it's being used all day long. And that was not the design of it. So you want to reduce the emotional reactivity. And so what happens is with exposure to safety anchoring, so you gradually repeat exposure to external triggers, social events, crowds, things that would normally get you going. And then you're using your calming tools. So you're using your deep breathing, grounding, putting your feet in the ground. So what you want to do is become desensitized to those things that people are overreacting about. Now, if you have a management position, I worked in food and beverage for almost 10 years, you have this constant, that line. I'm from Detroit, so that auto workers line, that assembly line has to keep going. So what happens is you develop a higher tolerance for things that would take the average bear out. Because you're like, yeah, this ain't shit. This ain't what happened. No, we got this. And so now I can stay in my prefrontal cortex for a very, 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 very long time, as opposed to things. There are just a few things now that will have my right amygdala doing what it needs to do in a real way. So you want to do calming breathing. And when you wake up in the morning, you want to take deep breaths. And then all throughout your day, as soon as you find yourself being anxious, you want to take those deep breaths because your goal is to regulate the amygdala so the prefrontal cortex executive function is in control and not the amygdala, especially not the right amygdala. And so it builds new neural associations, lowering your threat response. And so you're calm, you remain calm. If you see those action movies, Rambo and John Wick and all of them, they're calm, assessing the threat, the the Equalizer and all of them, because they have these very, very, very calm, regulated emotional regulation. All right, now next is the controlled breath work. So you want to do slow, deep breathing as it reduces the amygdala's hyperactivity within minutes. So if you have this thing happening, you have these family members, people just celebrated the 4th of July, had to interact with their family, and it's all this heightened sense of you. So you just calmly sit there and breathe. You just calmly sit there and breathe and assess what's taking place. They say in Al-Anon, sit on your hands. You're going to wait till you can respond calmly, and you just calm yourself down. Now, it stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system to counter external anxiety. And so we talked about this a couple days ago as well. The parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for your body's rest and digest. And so it's promoting relaxation and recovery. Slows your breathing rate down, lowers your blood pressure. It increases your digestion, and it conserves energy, and it alerts you of bodily functions. If you have to go pee, that's its job. And so when it's heightened, you're like, oh my God, I throw up, I gotta pee, this is terrible. But when you are calm, it stays calm. Number 3 is the insula. And so this is the body's awareness and introception. So the goal is improve your accurate reading of body signals to prevent misinterpretation of external cues as threats. And so what happens with this is you have body scan meditation. And so you want to focus on internal sensations without judgment. So is this actually true? Is this actually a threat? Or is this a false alarm? And so right now, if someone comes on here typing political nonsense and minutia as if they did yesterday, that's not what's taking place on this live. That's not what's happening right now. And so I'm ignoring them, or I might just, fuck with them because they came over here messing with me. Who knows? Anyway, but it's not going to be a threat. You go, say all these things to you. No, you're not. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Yes, I went back to the Stewart Elementary School, 1983, on the playground. So anyway, you listen to what's happening with your body. And then you also have progressive muscle relaxation, which is PMR, and it's systematically tense and release muscle groups to reduce body tension linked to it. So you're going to automatically tighten your muscles and then release them, and automatically tighten your muscles and then release them on your own. Number 4 is the ACC. And so this is attention and conflict monitoring. Okay, thank you, perimenopause. And so the goal is this: strengthen focus and reduce the hypervigilance to negative external cues. That is the entire goal. When all of this external anxiety is coming towards you, your goal is to say, I'm rubber, you're glue, bounces off of me and sticks back to you. If you're Wonder Woman, I think it's Captain America with the shield, but you are letting it bounce off of you like Kevlar, like pew, 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 pew. It's not going to work. So what you do is you focus attention you have focused attention meditation. So you choose a neutral object, your breath, your sound, or visual point, and you gently bring your attention back when distracted. So if you made the mistake of doom scrolling, now you're going to get off your phone, your device, and now you're going to focus on your breath. You're going to focus on a central point. You're going to look at the sunrise, look at the mountains, look at the trees, and that will bring you back, as we say in Al-Anon, to be where your feet are. So be where your feet are, not where their feet are, or not in the past or in the future, but currently where you are. And what this does is this builds the ACC capacity for attention control, reducing fixation on external threats. Because if you focus on it too long, the left amygdala is going to show up and it's going to have you ruminating. And then the ACC is going to just jump right on in and say, yeah, oh, you wasn't finished. You need some more stuff to worry about here. Don't worry. I got you, boo-boo. Yeah, so not only is the economy doing bad, but why don't you go online and check your credit score? Because what if it dipped down? You did have that extra expense last month. Did it dip down too? Man, and then check your savings account. Is the interest rate still the same? Now, go ahead and check on all your investments because the Dow Jones was down on Friday, so your shit might have went down. You could have lost $100,000. You want to go ahead and check. And don't somebody owe you $20 and they didn't pay you back? And did your direct deposit hit? And no, but wait a minute, because is that bill due on the 3rd or on the 4th? Because if it doesn't, and so now you're sitting here worried because somebody told you that the housing market in Las Vegas and you live in Virginia is bad. And now you done went through this whole thing. You're in a different Federal Reserve. You're on the other side of America, but you are concerned about Pahrump, Nevada's housing market. They had about 7 people that live in Pahrump. But that's somehow going to impact you and your credit score and your will, your living trust, and everything. Your grandchildren ain't going to be able to go to college because the housing market is bad in Pahrump, Nevada. See how that works? Okay. So you're going to stay focused on where you are. You're going to focus on your breath, your sound, or some singular vision point until your PFC comes back in control and says none of this is impacting us. And I'll give you a different example. So when COVID was around, the NBA was playing in the bubble. This isn't a conversation about vaccinations. If you put something about vaccinations, I'm going to block you because that's not the purpose of the story. So my mother is a very sports advocate. This is when we still had contact with them. And she literally told me 90% of the NBA got vaccinated. And I explained to her that the size of the NBA is the size of an elementary school. So it's like 500, 600 people got vaccinated out of the 700 some players. Might be a little bit more by now. I said, so 600 people got vaccinated? Well, they said 90%. Mm-hmm. That's the size of the elementary school that your granddaughter went to. That's not a lot of people, but that number sounds big. 90% of the NBA. Even if they said 90% of the NFL, it's like 2,000 players. That's not even the size of a high school in a major city. So you see how you get all caught up in that? And that number is small as hell. Okay? Small as hell. They got churches with more than 500 people that are members. So that's why you focus on where you are, on what's actually happening, and you don't let these external things have you thinking something that's not even true or apropos for you. And then what happens is you create a mindful environment of scanning. So you practice noticing safe or neutral elements in your surroundings to counter bias towards danger detection. And that's why I said, look out your window. Look in whatever environment you are right now and see what's actually taking place. And then when we get off this live, go start scrolling to see what's actually taking place. Now I'm going to tell you what happens. You start scrolling on social media, and now because that external anxiety got your amygdala hijacked all the way, you walk outside and you start looking for those threats. You actually start looking for those threats. You start looking for it. You start looking for high gas prices. You start looking for a crash in the housing market. You start looking for the threat. You start looking for whatever you saw. You start looking for it. And then you're going to find it. You ain't going to stop until you find it. You're going to say, see, they was right. See, look at them over there stealing. Yeah. Oh no, they can't. No, they almost was stealing. They looked like it. They only paid because I was looking at them. And that's why they had to go over there and check to make sure. Uh-huh. Yep. They over here. I saw the farmers at the farmers market. Yep. They was over there putting salmonella on the eggs and was making it seem like they wasn't. Yep. That's what they was doing. So you over here living in everybody else's external anxiety, and you never really had a reason to be doing any of it. And so here's the bonus: hemispheric balance activities. So what you can do is cross lateral movements. So activities like walking while swinging opposite arms or doing alternating tapping exercises engage both hemispheres. And what this does is it promotes emotional regulation and neural balance during exposure to external triggers. Because remember, the left side of the brain controls the right side of the body, right side of the brain controls the left side of the body. And so by switching that up, you are creating that emotional regulation, and the brain is used to doing that switching. So when you get this external thing happening, you're going to switch it, because that's what you need to do. External anxiety comes to you, and you need to switch it to say, that's not for me. That's not mine. That's yours. I ain't got nothing to do with that. That's not happening up here. It might be happening out here, but it's actually not happening up here. And if I look at where I am, grounding, spatial, looking, focused, I will see that it's not actually applying to me. And so you can also do writing with positive framing. So you write about positive or neutral interactions of external events, and it strengthens the left hemisphere, the logical portion, to balance right hemisphere anxiety tendencies. And so while everybody else is saying the housing market is crashing and everything else, you're focused on what's actually taking place, and you're writing it down. So the left amygdala can say, here, logically, this is what's taking place, right amygdala. See, let's read. Come on, you're visual. So let's look at this. This is what's actually taking place, right amygdala. I know online, world is going to hell in a handbasket, but just look out the window and see what's actually happening for you. What's actually happening. Okay. And here are 4. And if you have questions, let me know. I'm going to continue to move forward because there are people who are just listening. So, won't be able to type to ask questions. But if you need me to repeat something, I shall. Let me know and I will repeat it. Otherwise, I will continue to move forward. So here are 4 brain benefits to managing external anxiety. Number 1, you're going to reduce the amygdala hyperactivity. That's where all of this is happening. Anxiety shows up, the amygdala pops off, cuts down access to the frontal lobe, cortisol ensues, you have brain fog, the right amygdala is taking over, and all kind of shit is happening. And the left amygdala just keeps ruminating, and just stirring. Wait a minute, here go another word, stir. Here go another word, stir. And right amygdala's like, where is that? Where is that? Where is that? Put him up. Where's this threat at? I'm going to punch this threat in the face. That's what's actually happening. And then your everything, your insulin, everything's heart is breaking, everything. You can't even calm down. So you got emotional reactivity instead of emotional regulation. So you want to reduce the amygdala hyperactivity. And so what happens is that the benefit of managing these external stresses is that it diminishes the automatic fear reactions to these external triggers. Back in the day, there were several things that you could say, and the bat and the tire iron were going to come out. You say that, and we fighting. Point blank, period. And it ain't even got to do nothing with me. Me and my college roommates was so, we were so vicious. When we were in high school, we literally had lunch. That was the one semester I had lunch. We literally tried to start a food fight, and we threw food, and nobody threw food back at us. They saw where it came from, and everybody kept doing what they was doing. They wouldn't even throw food back at us. That's how bad we were at the time. But we had people to come get us. Come get us. Younger friends, come get us. What happened? They did what? All right, bet. We on our way. Where y'all at? Where y'all at? We are on our way. So it did not take much for my hyperactivity right amygdala to show up and show out. But we don't do that anymore. So it diminishes the automatic fear reaction to external triggers. And it promotes calm, measured responses instead of fight or flight overreactions. So no more food fights, no more call me because you need somebody to come and handle business and all of that. I have emotional regulation. And so when you do these activities, and I have a few more at the end to wrap up how you handle these external anxiety events. Number two is it enhanced prefrontal cortex functions. So by doing the activities that I just did and strengthening this, the benefits are going to be that you're going to have strengthened rational thinking, strengthen decision making, and strengthen emotional regulation. That is the whole point. When you have emotional regulation, and I can't stress this enough, you will have limited external anxieties because it'll come in and you'll go, oh yeah, that don't apply to me. Let me keep doing what I was doing. And you'll be able to stay focused, which is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. And it also helps override impulsive, anxiety driven behaviors. Boy, did I need this in the late 80s, early 90s. It helps override impulsive, anxiety driven behaviors. Let's go get Donna. Let's go get Donna T. And we're going to take care of this. I'll be right back. Let me go get my cousin. Because, back in the hood, everybody's cousins. I'm about to go get my cousin. You stay right there. And we're going to be back. And you're not going to like it. Not going to like it. Oh, thank goodness I'm still here. All right. Number three is the benefit is that you have a balanced insular awareness. And so you have improved accurate body awareness. So it prevents misinterpretations of physical sensations and signs of danger. So now you are not thinking something, I can see something like, yeah, when I'm back in the day, that would have, but then I have to remember that's not what's happening now. So it builds resilience to external stressors through better mind-body connections. And so I'll give an example. We had a family from California move into our subdivision, and I think I've said this story on YouTube before. I know I've said it on TikTok. And what happens is Las Vegas Police Department is very invisible until they're visible, especially where we live. And so I heard a helicopter hovering, but we have a hospital that's nearby, and people have helicopters too. So I thought it was just someone's helicopter or someone going to the hospital. And it kept hovering, and it was hovering and hovering and hovering. I was like, what? Why isn't that thing going past? So I look out the window, and the helicopter is hovering over my subdivision. And so at that point, I now see that there are 11 police vehicles. And I'm like, well, what the hell is going on? So we go outside and there's this mayhem. One of the neighbors down the street, she's trying to get to her house, but what the situation is behind her. So I tell her, you can park, because she left to take her daughter somewhere, and just the daughter didn't have shoes. She's like, I had to get my daughter shoes. I said, well, just park in our driveway and go get your daughter shoes. So she comes back and says it's the neighbors behind me that had just moved in. And so initially I was like, what in the fuck is this? Because I'm from the hood. So when the police show up, it's a problem. And what my daughter had to educate me on is that the cops were doing their job. There was a domestic dispute. CPS came and got the children. The people who needed to be in zip ties were in zip ties. And all of the whole situation was done in about 30 minutes. And so that triggered me, because my experience in the past is that when the police officers show up, it's going to be a problem. But it wasn't a problem. And so what happens is I had all this body, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then I calmed all the way down. And so those stressors that 40 years ago would have had me on edge calmed me all the way down. And so now when I see the interactions, I'm like, okay, cool. For the most part, they're going to do what needs to be done and de-escalate the situation instead of elevate the situation. Okay, number 4, you're going to have greater ACC efficiency. And those California people haven't popped off since then either, because they didn't recognize well, where they were. Yeah. So it boosts attention, control, and reduces hypervigilance to negative external cues. So you're going to have more attention, and this negative external stuff is going to diminish. And it also enhances your ability to stay focused and grounded in safe situations. And so that was actually a safe situation. They were doing their jobs, but it felt like initially this is a bad thing. This is like, why is all this necessary? But it was necessary because of what was taking place. There were weapons involved and everything. So that amount of force was necessary, because we're also in a neighborhood and our houses are kind of close together. Okay, so hemispheric benefits to managing external activities. So the right hemisphere benefit is this: it decreases overactive threat detection of external environments. So this whole notion of this is a threat, this is a threat, let me go get my cousin, all these other things, the housing market and everything else, it decreases that. And remember, the right amygdala, right hemisphere is where this activity is taking place the most. And so it reduces emotional overactivity, it reduces social fear and your avoidance tendencies. I'm not going to go over there because that's a threat. I'm not going to go over there because that's a threat. I'm not going to go over there because that's a threat. Not going to go over there because that's a threat. Everything is a threat. Can't go nowhere because there's a threat everywhere. And it also supports balanced emotional awareness without overwhelming fear response. So it is balanced. Is this an actual threat? Is this a saber-tooth tiger coming directly at me, about to bite me? Where do I need to seek safety? And then for the left hemisphere, it enhances logical analysis of external situations. So you are actually looking. And so, to quote Ronald Reagan, when you see this external anxious stimuli, trust but verify. Don't just start talking about it. Don't just start getting overreactive. Say, hold up, let me see what's actually happening. Let me see how this is impacting me. And I tell people all the time, the beige book comes out every 6 weeks from the Federal Reserves. And there are 13 Federal Reserves, 12 for the state, and then the major Federal Reserves. And so if you go to LinkedIn or you go to the Federal Reserve's X account, they will tell you that the beige book is published. There will be a link there, and then you just click on the link, find your Federal Reserves, and it will tell you unemployment rates, what's happening with interest rates and houses, and all the things that you need to know about your area with regards to the economy. And so you don't have to be, it doesn't have to be a mystery for you because that information is there every 6 weeks. It tells you what the short-term Fed fund rate is. That's the interest rate on all types of things. And so that lets you know if the Fed fund rate is high, that means that it's not time to buy. When it's low, you can go shopping. Okay. And that also tells you, because the Fed fund rate is to try to regulate the economy with regards to inflation and recessions and all of that. So pay attention to the actual people who are actually responsible for the economy that are running it, not just economists, but the Fed, and it will go a long way in the United States. Okay. So it also supports positive reappraisal and reframing of external thoughts. This is in the left hemisphere. And it improves approach behaviors, encouraging engagement with environments rather than avoidance. When you are not afraid to go over there, I ain't go, cause cause I heard, and now you don't get to have these experiences. And what this also does is embrace diversity is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. But when you have all of this external anxiety being given to you, it inhibits you from being able to embrace diversity. Nah, because I don't like the way that smell. And no, because when I was and now you live in this comfort cocoon again, and you're missing out on all of these experiences. So you want to do the exercises that I mentioned. In a minute, I'm going to tell you how to stop people from giving you that anxiousness. But here are the whole brain benefits. So the whole brain benefits, and there are 5. What you're going to have is improved emotional regulation. Improved emotional regulation simply by even knowing that this exists, and then doing the activities that I said. Number 2, you're going to have enhanced cognitive flexibility. So you are going to be able to assess the situation and then make great decisions because you're going to be in your prefrontal cortex. And so that's going to allow you to be flexible, because what happens with this external anxiety is that you become rigid. Your working memory becomes fixed because you don't want to learn new information. You don't want to trust and verify. You just want to be told this information and that's it. And now you're stuck in a rut and you can't get your big butt up. Number 3, it's more accurate perception of external threats. So you're going to be able to sit there and actually assess. So when people start saying things to me, because I know about the short-term Fed fund rate, I forgot which book I read to find out about it. So because I have this global understanding of capitalization of society, the McDonaldization of society, I understand how markets work and everything else. My daughter and I read the Wall Street Journal for I think 2 years straight, and we watched how the stock got shorted on Friday, and then over the weekend things happened behind the scenes and magically went back up on Monday for several years. And so understanding the indexes and all of that. So when he starts saying this, I'm like, okay, what is happening in the economy? What company are they trying to buy for cheap? Who needs a merger and acquisition? And that's why the stock plummeted, so that they can buy it for cheap. And you start paying attention to that. And next thing you know, oh, such and such just bought such and such. And it's a great bailout. Da, 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 da. Follow the money. It's going to tell you the truth every time. So you do have a more accurate perception of what is the external threats. If you have never watched the movie Wag the Dog, I say that it's worth watching, as well as The Big Short. So when you watch those things, you can say, okay, we want us to be concerned with this. What actually happened about 2 months ago? Because that's what's actually taking place. This is happening over here, but what deal is actually being made over there? That's Wag the Dog. Put something for everybody to focus over here. Dog's tail is wagging, but the real thing is happening on the other side. Greater social confidence. You will have that, so you'll be able to go out into society and function properly, because you will have confidence, because you won't be scared of mashed potatoes and green bean casserole on Thanksgiving or whatever it is. It won't bother you. We had a great conversation with a client, I think on Friday or Saturday, and I learned about the girls group, the K-pop girls group, and all of these other things that were taking place, because we have conversations with people who want to have conversations at appointments. Number 5, it's the reduced physiological anxiety symptoms. So your heart racing, muscle tension, sweating, panic attacks, and all of that, it's reduced by ensuring that your prefrontal cortex is strong. You have emotional regulation, which regulates every other part of the body. And so you are basing everything off of facts. And does this apply to me? So finally, here are 6 ways to reduce the influence of others' anxious thoughts. So the first part was about you and everything that you can do yourself to make sure that your brain is strong, in order for you to not absorb these doggone in external anxiety moments and events and stimuli. So number 1, most importantly, recognize the source. Identify the things or thoughts where they originated from as someone else's and not yours. That didn't come from me. That came from somebody off of X. That came from the news. That came from the government. That came from the grocery store or wherever it is. This is their worry, not mine. First thing you do, this is their worry. This is not mine. And remember, when people have hijacked amygdalas, they're not doing anything rationally. So, of course, they're going to report that it's all going to hell in a handbasket, because it was a dumbass plan. So they had hijacked amygdalas. They used emotions to make these decisions. The shit went left. And now they're recruiting people to help them fix this dumbass shit show palooza that should have never been a thing to begin with, because it wasn't a sound strategy. What you don't have is people on social media, in the news, and everywhere else saying, yeah, so we had a plan and it went great, and now we need y'all help. That ain't happening. They're getting People of the Year awards and everything else. You find out that they didn't got all this stuff. You don't have that. So if you start looking at when shit goes well, it's quiet. Nobody, when you do something and it went well, you just go on to the next thing. But it's the people who had dumbass plans, emotional deregulations, hyperactivity, hypervigilance. They're the ones, help us, and this is bad, and it's a threat, and this is, because you didn't have a smart strategy. You didn't have a why, you didn't have a strategy. You had a hijacked amygdala, some emotional response to something, reaction, and now you about to get them back. You about to show these motherfuckers and now all of this is happening. And you got to be afraid of them over there, and don't trust them over there. But people who are strategic, people who know how the brain functions, it's not happening for us. It's kind of quiet. You start holding yourself personally accountable and following the 74 principles of real leadership, you'll see that you got a peaceful existence. Now you're going to go do some extraordinary shit because you have emotional regulation. So now when you're looking at this stuff, you can say, okay, let me follow the dumbass plan that landed us here in this shit show situation. And I always say, when we are experiencing something that really makes no sense, I say, who was in the meeting? Who was in the meeting that decided that this was a good idea? Because it's not. So who was in that meeting? That's what I'd like to know. So you can start saying that as well. This doesn't apply to me, but who was in that meeting? Okay. All right. Number 2, you're going to challenge the thoughts. Ask yourself, do I actually believe this? And this is the example that I'm going to use. I am not black. I have on a black t-shirt and I have a black satin headband on my number 2 or number 4 brown, dark brown wig. I am not black. Black is a color. It's a color. And nobody is white, because that's a color. So anytime I hear something, I thought I was black until I realized I wasn't black, and I did my DNA. I said, oh, got some Bantu, got some Irish, some Welsh, a little bit of Filipino in there. You know what I'm saying? Some other stuff. I got some Barbadians, that from that Western island because of my grandfather. But what I don't have on my DNA results is the color. It didn't show up in my DNA. So I am not black. So when I hear things about black people in the culture, it doesn't resonate with me because I am African American. I am from the Africas and I live in America. And that is my ethnicity. And I will go to my grave with that. And you get to believe whatever you want to believe because guess what happens when you stop referring to yourself as a color? All of the external anxieties that are associated with that goes away. All of that goes away because it doesn't apply to me. Oh, okay. Well, if you consider yourself black people, then yeah, that applies to you. But that doesn't apply to me. It doesn't. So that's a perfect example of not talking to me. Not at all. And I keep my DNA results in my phone. So if we need proof, here it is. It's a percentage breakdown right here, all the way. And it matches with me saying Levi Thomas, and it matches with me saying Arthur Evelyn and Leslie Thomas. It matches on all fronts. Okay? So doesn't apply. Does this align with my reality? It does, then good. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. So if it isn't, reject it and write down your own perspective to reinforce your beliefs. That's why I keep it in my phone. That's why I keep it in my phone. So when some of you have been on the live, if you especially on the lives last year and in Instagram, when people start saying the N word to me and they start talking about colors and everything else, I say, this is a color. This is a color. Why would you reduce yourself to a color? That's absurd. And now all the narrative that comes along with that. Now you're stuck with that. You are in a color comfort cocoon and you are living that absurdity. Read the book by Isabella Wilkerson Cast so you can free your mind. Number 3, you are going to set boundaries. Limit exposure to the anxious person or their triggers. I went no contact with my immediate family because they were the biggest triggers of all. So politely redirect conversations or reduce time spent with them if they project their worries. We have blocked many a client, especially during the election year, I won't say many, but enough that we are not coming back here because you are letting politics get in the way of us doing our job. You can vote for whoever you want. I don't care which you're Republic, independent, whatever. I don't vote split ticket. I don't care. But when you start trying to project your opinions on me, I've never told y'all who to vote for. I've said vote for the candidate that's going to benefit you. I got a bachelor's degree in public law and government. Hire the candidate that's going to do the job. You are interviewing a candidate for a position and vote for that candidate. That's it. That's what I've said. And so you have to set your boundaries with these people. If you got to interact with them because you got to work with them, then go ahead. If you don't have to work with them and you don't have to talk to them, then stop taking it on. Stop taking it on. That's why I do not speak to anybody from my past because of their emotional anxiety. I've attempted to help them fix it, use their brain. All of this was offered to the people that I knew and family members, and nobody wanted to participate besides my own child. So, okay, cool. I'm not fucking with y'all no more because I'm not going to keep absorbing this emotional anxiety. I'm giving you good and you giving me anxiety back. That exchange rate that math ain't never going to math for me. I feel so much better talking to you. And I'm over here emotionally damaged, trying to recover from all these 3-4 hours of me talking to you. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Number 4, you want to reframe it with positive focus. So replace their anxious thoughts with what you focus on and what you value. So if their fear is about failure, remind yourself of your strengths or your past success. I'm going to go back to Black people again, because when I'm around African Americans, and I say African Americans, they say Black, I say African Americans, and we go back and forth, I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to accept that. And what you're not going to do is argue with me and tell me I'm a sellout. You're not going to tell me any of that bullshit whatsoever, because I've done so much more for the African American community than most wealthy people and celebrities. So what we're not going to do is that. I'm not willing to accept that narrative anymore, and I'm not willing to participate with you while you accept that narrative. Because what is it solving? What has it solved? Nothing. Nothing at all. Oh, but we have all these. No. Day to day is still there. Shit is still the same. Same shit, just a different day. Packaged in a different package. It hasn't resolved or solved anything at all. So the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And I guarantee you, when you make that shift, and I had the conversation with Nola, it was like, when you gonna make the shift? Because when you make the shift, you shift. You actually have a neurological shift, and you reframe it. When you know your lineage, when you know who you are, people can't tell you who you ain't. That's the whole point, is when you don't know who you are, people can say you're a color and you will listen to it. I'm not a color. I'm not. You hear, oh, the Asians and the Polynesians and then black people and white people. Where is it? What continent is it on? Based upon geography, where is it at? It isn't there. So that's why, it's not real. It is not real. Okay? And I don't care how many boxes and shit you check on it. It's DNA. You got to be from somewhere where people are. Okay? Got it? So I'm reframing it, been reframing it, and I'm not going back to it. Not happening. Because now you have to wear it. You have to wear all of it. You have to be a part of all of it. And as soon as you take it all off, you're going to realize how light it is, how not heavy it actually is, how disadvantaged it is. So you make it inferior. When I was working with the Urban Chamber, they wanted me to be a Black-owned veteran women's business. That's not what you say when you say Target. You don't say that when you say Walmart. You don't say that when you say Trader Joe's. So why am I putting all of these qualifiers so I can qualify for that? I can qualify for that without putting it everywhere. I can take advantage of those grants just like people take advantage of all kind of government grants. Big business doesn't. So why would I put that, plaster it everywhere? Because what it says is inferior, 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 small, insignificant, little. That's what those actually do. And people wear it with a badge of honor. Women owned. Yes, we're minority, disabled, veteran owned. Inferior, inferior, inferior. You don't go into the Black-owned, disabled, veteran, women's-owned Bank of America. You go to Bank of America. You go to Southwest South Trust Bank. You go to McDonald's, White Castle. All that shit ain't on there. But now you're just look at my Black-owned, causing all kind of anxiety. You're just a small business. We're business that's emerging. If you read the E-Myth Revisited, you can start small and still be an adult company. You can look like you're a startup, but be functioning as a large corporation. One thing they say about my daughter and I, we go to appointments all the time, is, wow, you're so professional. You're so professional. You're so professional. That's because I worked in corporate America for almost 10 years. So just because it's a two-person shop doesn't mean it's got to be operated like that at all. Number 5, you release through action. So you're going to engage in physical activities, yoga, exercising, running, swimming, Pilates. And then you can have creative outlets like art, painting, crafting to process and let go of the mental clutter. And then number 6, you're going to visualize letting go. You're going to imagine the anxious thoughts as clouds passing by, leaving, going up, a leaf in a stream, just going downstream. But you're going to visualize them leaving. Now, when you do all of these things together, you are going to eliminate external anxiety. You're going to start, I'm just planting the seed today. I'm just letting the neurons fire off this morning. So you can start creating your own synaptic connections, and you can start looking and assessing. You will find that you feel balanced and free. And then here comes this external anxiety, and it doesn't hit you, but then this absorption of it. And now you're there, stuck with it, with no viable solution, because the left and right amygdala wants to pop off, the left amygdala wants to ruminate, and there is no solution for it. So if you start paying attention from this perspective, you're going to see it's rhetoric, and you're going to see that people don't want a solution, because tomorrow they need something else to bitch about. They need something else to be afraid about, to complain about. Because you know why this still works, ladies and gentlemen? I'm glad you asked, because then you ain't got to do shit. You can just talk shit. You ain't got to be shit, because you can't, because shit's so fucked up. So who's going to fix it? Me, teaching you how to use your brain so you can get away from the insanity of it all. It works. It works. If you say, I can't do this because I'm Black, white people won't let me do this, white people, but Black Wall Street, Okay, What you been doing since you've been on earth? Who been stopping you in 2020 anything? 1973, I've been here. Motherfucker ain't stopped me from shit. Nothing. They ain't stopped me from doing a motherfucking thing. Did they make it hard? Was it obstacles on obstacles on obstacles? Yep. Sure was. Ain't stopped shit. Nothing at all. But it works. That narrative works. You can't because you know they're gonna take it away from you. You can't because they're gonna steal it to you, steal it from you. What God has for me is for me. And that's it. It's got my name on it. It's got my name on it. If some mail, my mail come to your house, what you gonna do? Send it to me? Because it's my mail. It's not your mail. So this whole notion and narrative works. Because now you can say, I can't because. I can't because. I can't. They told me I couldn't get a 5 at advanced camp. Fuck y'all. I got a 5 at advanced camp. They told me I couldn't get a distinguished Toastmaster in 18 months. You can't get a distinguished Toastmaster in 18 months. I went back in school and got my doctorate working 50 to 60 hours a week, going through a divorce, having to move back home and almost dying. And I finished that program in 4 years instead of 5. Don't fucking tell me what I can't do. You can't. You can't do it. You can't go and command at Fort Campbell. No, you can't. I can, but you can't. Because of up here, because of all this external anxieties. What's going to happen if you get divorced? Your daughter going to grow up to be a bad mofo. Girls need their daddies. No, girls need good parents. Children need good parents. Fuck what gender they are. Okay? Children need responsible adults raising them to be responsible people. So you can keep participating if you want to, but even though throughout my entire life it's always happened, you can't go over there, you can't do that, you can't do that. Which part did you say I can't do? Okay, I'll be back. I knew you could do it. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You had on a blue shirt and some black pants when you told me I couldn't do that. It was June 17th, 1997 at 3:47 p.m. when you said I can't do that. My own Toastmaster mentor sat at my dining room table and told me as we mapped out my DTM path, I couldn't go to high noon lectern on Friday at noon because they vote people in. And that was the meeting that I needed to go to make sure that I could get back across town and pick Nola up. And I went to high noon lectern, I got voted in, and I got my DTM in 18 months. But that was her anxiety, not mine. They told me in Toastmasters, you can't get presidents distinguished and all of that because you can't get people to do educational awards because it's a volunteer organization. I said, you can't. Here's your Y card. Here's your education. What's going to be your educational goal? Here's your new members packet. Always had over 20 members. Always got distinguished the best on the clubs. Had people get triple crowns and everything else. So I don't let people's anxiety stop me from doing shit. I feel it. And now that I know what it is, I'm not even fucking feeling that shit no more. So you might want to do some reflection time today. I know it's Monday, but go ahead and take your personal time today to see what this external influence is doing to you. Because be the best is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. And I can't be the bad motherfucker that I am today with everybody's anxiety on me. I can't do it. So am I an African-American woman from the hood? I absolutely am. But I also have 3 degrees. And a bunch of certifications, and I'm studying neuroscience now. So it's just part of the story. It's not the whole story. So do I need to keep Dee from the D in reserves in case somebody pop off? Yeah. But I can actually go past that and grow past that because I know how to use this whole thing, the whole brain. So what's stopping you is this external anxiety. That's what's stopping you because you're absorbing it and you're believing it and you haven't stopped to say, does this apply to me? If you ain't got no doggone feminine hormones and reproductive structure and you're not married, you don't care about perimenopause and menopause because it's not impacting you. So why do you care? Most of y'all, me and Kevin, are the only people on this live that I'm aware of that have bald heads. We don't really care about a shampoo crisis. We ain't got no fucking hair. We don't have no conditioner. Who cares? It's not impacting us. Now, I mean, he might do it for his facial hair, but that's not enough. There's a shampoo shortage. I'm not a part of that. Oh, well, for the people who have shampoo, that's unfortunate for you, but I don't have that issue. So going forward after today, if anybody on this live starts with some rhetoric about some doggone external anxiety, I'm going to direct you to this live. Okay? Because what can you do about half the shit y'all talking about? Nothing at all. So why would you have conversations about something that's not leading you to your best? That's not about personal accountability. That's not about the brain. Why would you have those conversations? That doesn't even make sense because you need a solution. You have everybody sat around 4th of July talking about, well, Juneteenth is that. And then what'd you do? Nothing. Went back to July 5th and did shit. Not a doggone thing, just talking. But it's good. It sounds good and it just stops you. So stop it. Stop it because it's stopping you. It's stupid. Okay? So don't believe the hype. Okay? Just walk around your neighborhood today. Whatever you got to do, just observe. And then go on social media and see if that's what you see. Somebody's right and somebody isn't. Bunch of people will hijack the amygdalas is the reason why the world is fucked up right now in places because of their emotional deregulation, hypervigilance, acting like a damn fool because they letting the amygdala run shit. That little bitty, it weighs grams. It might weigh a gram per amygdala. And the brain weighs 3 pounds, up to 3 pounds. Some people are more or less. But yeah, and it doesn't matter. Just because you have a large brain doesn't mean you're smarter than people with a small brain. Einstein's brain was actually quite small. And in theory, he was brilliant. Okay, so what questions do you have, if any? I was going to do cognitive fitness. I'm going to just say that for tomorrow because it's already 6:50. Yeah, so you can sell for a profit because you're going to flip them watermelons. That's what you thinking, Kevin. I know. You're going to flip them. You like, wait a minute, shortage, you say? Oh, watch me get on Amazon right now. Sell it for a profit. We're not going to use it. Yes, you and Miss Latoya need something for the shop. But other than that, got it. That's what's taking place. So no cognitive fitness today. We're going to go ahead and do that tomorrow. What did you learn today and what did you learn about yourself? Yeah, a shampoo stand instead of a lemonade stand at the farmer's market. Yeah, so you need Suave. Okay, all right, here you go. That would be funny. What did you learn today and what did you learn about yourself? And let me circle this so that I will use it for la mañana. Nola said, I learned that I need to stop letting others' anxiety mess with my vibe. Kevin, yes, you got to look out the window. That is correct. Look out the car window, the bus window, the motorcycle side if you're out in the elements. Nola, I learned about myself. I need to stop projecting my own external anxiety onto others. That's correct. That is correct. So don't do it and don't take it. Stop it. Stop it. And I'm just grateful to Grok and ChatGPT because this was a long ass question. And because I'm always thinking about things, that's how we started connecting the hemispheres to the right hemispheres because I started with them. I wonder how much the amygdala weighs. And now we know about the left and the right. And that if you popping off, it's the right amygdala. And if you're ruminating, it's the left amygdala. So I feel empowered, inspired, whatever. It's not inspired. We know I don't do that. You got it. So that's what's happening. So stop taking it. And again, if I remained attached to my stuck Malayan stands, we don't get here, ladies and gentlemen. You don't get to have the peace that you're now experiencing. Lola doesn't get all of the experiences that she's had this year if I'm over at Frito-Lay making sure Doritos are getting out on time. And that's what the whole purpose is for people to learn that this amazing brain, when you use it, it's very powerful. And what you're going to start to discover is how many people, even in positions of power, authority, and influence, regardless of how many commas they have attached to their net worth, are not using their brains effectively. And that's why you're like, the fuck? That don't even make, why are we, this doesn't make any sense. So anytime you're experiencing something that doesn't make any sense, or anxiety or emotional hypervigilance and this emotional activity, like it's just like so heightened, this reactivity, People were in a hijacked amygdala state. Their emotions were ruling their decision making, and that's why it doesn't work. Anytime you have a logical strategy and a logical why, it works. And if it's not working completely, you will go back to the strategy, look at the strategy, and say, okay, steps 1 and 4 work, 2 and 3 need to be updated, and we need to add a step 5. And then it starts working. And now you move on. And we don't even pay attention to the things that are working because they're working. But all of this external doggone anxiety is what's causing it not to work. If people stopped having external anxiety, the stories would be different. The things that you consume, the storylines on movies, streaming, television, and everything else would be different. And I don't know what it would look like. I hope that I get to see what it would look like when there are more people, but it's going to be the opposite of what we're experiencing because people will have emotional regulation and the decision making to produce everything will be coming from the executive function of the brain. So that's what's going to make it so different. That's what's going to make it better because we won't be talking about any of the things that we're currently talking about. So all of you who are experiencing real leadership, you're having different conversations. You're doing different things because your brain is wired to personal accountability. You're having that different experience now. And now you're saying, life ain't that bad. Okay. You become very optimistic when you wake up in the morning. In fact, you look forward to getting up in the morning. The doom and gloom and the anxiety, the external anxiety is gone or it's leaving. That's what's taking place. So stop accepting it. Do not absorb it. Stop being a sponge. Do not be an external anxiety sponge for anybody or anything. Use your brain. Please use it. That's why I have the please use it shirt on. I know it's backwards to y'all, but y'all know that's what it says. Please use your brain. And Kevin says, myself, protecting my amygdala has been a great part of maintaining good blood pressure readings. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Let the church say amen. Let the church say amen. And I'm sure your cardiologist, and they may have, because some doctors are good, but did you have the amygdala conversation? I just went to my wellness visit and we did not talk about my brain. We talked about my white blood cell count, but we did not talk about my brain at my wellness visit. Talked about my perimenopause and that stuff. But we did not talk about my brain health at all. Okay. So that's why it's up to you to use it every single day. Every single day. And now you're going to have the best life that you could ever possibly have. And you do not have to participate. I'm telling you to stop participating. Stop. Because where has it gotten you? Where has participating in external anxiety gotten you? In the sticky road to ruttness. It had me holding a bat and tire iron fighting other people's battles. And thank God I'm still here because shit got hairy at some points. So yeah, you're not coming to get Dr. Donna. You can come get some real leadership. I got some neuromobility for you. Would you like some neural pathways? That's what's on the menu now. Wiring your brain. That's what's on the menu. The 74 principles of real leadership. You want some? Here you go. The theory of personal accountability is what I have. It's plenty for all. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you so much today again, we will always continue to show you the principles of real leadership. That's the phase that we're in and how they impact you. But when I get some new neurological information, I have to give that to you because now tomorrow, when we go back to the principles of real leadership, you'll have more tools to listen, learn, and then implement. And this was literally impacting me for like the last 6 weeks. And I had to figure out what it was. And I knew that it was impacting you as well. And Noah was the one that said, we had the conversation. She was like, look it up on Grok or ChatGPT and see what they said. So I highly recommend both of them as search options for you. The AI component, you can, whatever your individual particular situation is, you can get the information, you can do a deep search, and then they will start giving you articles, books, references, all kinds of things to help you in that capacity. It's just things Google can't do. Google's trying to do it, but they can't. It's just too big. It's just too big and too much stuff. And it's old information. So Grok is faster. So if you think about dial-up versus Wi-Fi, and now we got 5G and all of that. So it's the difference between analog and digital. It really is. It's archaic. It serves its purpose, But when you want a customized search, go to one of the AI platforms. Okay. So, God willing, higher power in the universe, I will be back tomorrow, and I will be here same time, same place, safe space, my different brain t-shirt. But again, I'm putting this on the replay. If you start talking dumb shit and you trying to get us to absorb some anxiety, I'm going to refer your ass to this live, because we're not doing that no more. Now that I got a title for it, now I understand what it is. I understand what it's doing to my brain. So make sure you get your brain some water today. Water your brain. Water your brain. Water your brain. And God willing, higher power in the universe, I will be back tomorrow. You all have a brain-tastic day and take care. Adios.